this is Gamer of Knowledge and More here, also known as Gamer of Knowledge, or GoCam, or simply just Fred. And today, we're doing a deck profile on the shiranui monsters. People call it shiranui, but I like to call it shiranui, because that's just how I've always been calling them. So let's start off with the monsters. First of all, there's Shiranui Samurai. I will be dropping it to 2 in exchange for another monster, but what he does is that you can banish a zombie monster from your graveyard, and he gains 600 attack points. And if it does, banish it in monsters that battles him after damage calculations. It can be done on either player's turn, and it lasts until the end phase. And if he battles, if he's banished, then you can target one monster in your graveyard except him and add it to your hand. You can use each effect once per turn. Next up, there's 2 Swordmasters. What he does is that when he's normal summoned, you can special summon one shiranui monster from your hand or graveyard, except him. But it's banished when he leaves the field, and if himself is banished, he can target one face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. I see him as like a gobbledybug of the deck because of him bringing out other shiranui monsters. This is the monster I'm taking a copy of Samurai out for. It's Squire. I see him as another gobbledybug because he does what Swordmaster does, but different. Instead of just any shiranui monster, it has to be a spectral sword monster, and it can be from the hand or deck, except he can, for the rest of that turn, you can only special summon zombies, which is a good thing for this deck because all but one monster is a zombie. And if he's banished, then you get to draw a card and discard card. In terms of making someone down to 2 to have another card to 2, I have 3 more instances of that. Next up, I have 2 Smiths. What he does is that if it's sent from the field to the grave as a synchro material, you can add a shiranui card from your deck to your hand, except him. And if he's banished, then you can make your monsters indestructible by battle that turn. So in a way, I see him as a Stratos because of that effect, because of those 2 effects. Next up, there's 3 Solitaires. This is another one that I'm going to take out a copy to get another card into the deck. That other card being Swordmaster, but I'm going to get to him in a moment. But what Solitaire does is that when you can tribute him to bring out another zombie monster from your deck, as long as it's a tuner and it has 0 defense. And if he's banished, then you can special summon either one of your banished shiranui monsters, or 2 if you have shiranui style synthesis on the field, which I do run in the deck. Next up, there's Shade, 1 copy of Shade and 3 Spectral Sword. I count them as the same monster because of their name, but this is the 3rd time that I have the samurai situation in. I want to take out a Spectral Sword to add another Shade into the deck. What Shade does is that you can tribute him to target 2 of your banished zombies, except him, including a shiranui monster, special summon them in defense position, but their effects are negated, and also you can't special summon except zombies that turn. He's good with Squire because that way you can bring out Squire Saga. Next up is Spectral Sword. What he does is that if he is in your graveyard, except the turn that is sent there, then you can pretty much Synchros summon using him and another zombie monster you can in your graveyard. It has to be 2 monsters though, so it probably won't work for Synchros who have two or more non-tuners. Next up is one Swordmaster. He's really good if I want to bring out Shiranui Sword Saga, because I can just have him in. What he does is that if he's in your graveyard and you control two or more Shiranui monsters with different names, you can special summon this card but banish them when it leaves the field. And if it's banished, you can make one of your zombies gain 600 attack until end phase. It's really well. It goes well with Squire because you can summon Squire to bring out Spectral Sword Shade. And if you have Swordmaster, then you can bring him back to make level 5 if you want to. Next up, for the non-Shiranui, I play triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Bring. Now, what she does is that when a card or effect is activated, that either adds a card from your deck to your hand, the deck to the hand, special summon from the deck, or send a card from the deck to the grave, you can negate her and destroy her. You can discard her to negate it. She's good for the deck not only because it stops people to do what you're kind of doing, but also it's a fast zombie which goes well with the deck. Next up, to round up the monsters, I play 2 Necrofaces and 1 Plague Spreader zombie. What Necroface does is that when it's normal summoned, you shuffle all banished cards into the deck, and he gains 100 for each card that is shuffled into the main deck. So even though he doesn't get a boost from the Synchros, so he does gain a lot of attack points if he just bans main deck cards. And if he's banished himself, then he can make each player banish top 5 cards. It's also a really good Allure of Darkness card target, which we do want. I play Plague Spreader Zombie, and if he's in your graveyard, then you can place a card from your hand on top of the deck to special summon him, but he's banished when he leaves the field. He's good because I can just use this effect to bring himself back to do some extended synchro summoning if I want to. Next up, for the spells, I am playing 1 Shiranui Style Solemnity. I have no idea how to pronounce the last word, but its name becomes Shiranui Style Synthesis while in the spell trap card zone. This is the last card that I'm having a situation with, like Samurai and Squire, where I do want to take out. I would get to the card in a minute, but I want to get another copy of this for the deck. What it does is that you can either banish a zombie from your graveyard to make your zombie summonings unnegatable for the rest of that turn. Also, you can target a zombie you control, banish it, then you can Foolish Burial a zombie with 0 defense. So, which, like I said, is good for Solitaire and Swordmaster. Next up, I'm running 2 Ghost Meets Girl, a Maya Kashi's manuscript. During the main phase, you target 1 zombie synchro monster you control, special summon 1 of your banished zombie monsters with the same attribute or in your graveyard, but banish it during the end phase. You cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except zombies. Like I said, that's not really a downside to the deck because pretty much all your monsters are zombies except for the one that I have in the deck. Next up, I'm running 3 Shiranui Style Synthesis. I'm going to make it a 2 to have a second Solemnity. But what it does is that you can, if you have no monsters, you can send 1 card from your hand to the grave to either resurrect a zombie monster with 0 defense in your grave, or send a banished zombie from your banished zone to the graveyard with 0, and it has to, as long as it has 0 defense. So it's possibly a good card, but I don't always play it because I might take it out, but I'm gonna keep it in just to use Solitaire's effect. Next up, I'll play one card of the Mummy. Once per turn, you can special summon one zombie type monster from your hand, but you must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. It's good because I can just use it to special summon like Plague Spread, a zombie, then normal summon Squire, using his effect to bring out a spectral sword. Then I can tune into a. Then I can go into level 6 Synchro, then level 8 Synchro, which I do when the two shiranui cards off. Next up, one burial from a different dimension. What it does is that you target up to 3 balanced monsters and return them to the graveyard. So that can help me if I have a combo that I still need to do. So if I still want to banish someone, but they're already banished, then I can just bring them back. Next up, I run 2 Mystical Space Typhoons and 2 Twin Twisters. What Mystical Space Typhoon does is that I can simply just destroy a spell attack on the field. It's good for any of those problematic cards that may be on the field, like Imperial Iron Wall, but I don't think we see them in the game nowadays. And Twin Twisters, it's an upgrade to that. You can discard a card to target up to 2 spell attack cards on the field and destroy them. So if my opponent has like a Mystic Mine and a Imperial Iron Wall or something. Next up, 2 Path Desires. With this, I can balance the top 10 cards from my deck face down to draw 2 cards. It's good for cards like Necroface because that way I can just return all of them to the deck to gain 1,000 life, to make him gain 1,000 attack points. Next up, Allure of Darkness. With this, you draw 2 cards, then you banish a dog monster from your hand, or you send your entire hand to the graveyard. Fortunately, I do run 3 dog monsters in the deck, 2 from being Necroface, so I can just banish 6 cards if I want to. Next up, 1 Monster Reborn. This just in case I have any monsters in the grave that might want to come back. Now onto the traps. I'm only running 6 traps in the deck. 2 of them is Shiranui style Swallow Slash. That is such a mouthful. It's kind of similar to Twin Twisters, except it's R-Stab specific, and there's a trap card which makes it slower, but instead of discarding a card, you tribute a zombie type monster, then you banish a shiranui monster from your deck. So if you want to, you can make it 3 cards with Swordmaster. Next up, 2 shiranui style Success. With that, you special summon a zombie monster from your hand, but it's banished when it leaves the field. And you can banish it to make one of your zombies protected by other card effects except its own. So you can use that monster effect to make him gain 600 attack, but if you banish Swordmaster, you won't be able to gain that additional 600 from Swordmaster. Next up, 2 shiranui style Samsara. This also becomes Synthesis while it's on the field, so that means that including those 2 copies and Solemnity, that means I'm technically running 6 copies of Synthesis if you want to think about it, but not really at the same time. What this does is that you can either banish a zombie you control to take no damage for the rest of the turn, or you can shuffle 2 of your banished zombies with 0 defense into the deck to draw a card. So it has life point protection and card draw. Now onto the extra deck. I'm running 1 Link monster, which is Shiranui Skill Saga Supremacy. It needs 2+ zombies to be summoned, and he gives your Synchros indestructibility by card effects, and your fire monsters indestructibility by battle. And during your opponent's turn, you can special summon a banished zombie synchro to your own discard points to, which can only be 2 because one of them is pointing up and the other 2 is either left or down. I would like to change the arrows to make those 2 go there, so then you can bring out 2 of them if you want to, but I can't change everything. If I could, the wood would be better. Next up, onto the Synchros. I'm running 2 Shiranui Sun Saga. With this card, it says it needs 1 zombie tuner plus 1 more non-tuner zombies, or in this deck just 1 tuner plus 1 more non-tuners. And if it's special summoned, you can return any number of zombie synchro monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the extra deck. They can destroy that many cards your opponent controls. And if a zombie monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effects, you can banish 1 Shiranui monster from your graveyard instead. So, simply by banishing a Shiranui monster, you can protect all your monsters. Next up is triple Shogun Saga. Like Sun Saga, it has the same summoning requirements as Sun Saga, and if he's special summoned, you can banish a zombie to make him gain that much attack points. And if he's destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can return a banished zombie with 0 defense to the graveyard from banishment. All of these are quite easy to go into. Next up is double Squire Saga. With him, he just needs 1 tuner plus 1 more non-tuner monsters, and once per turn, you can banish a face-up monster you control or in your graveyard to activate these effects depending on what the monster was before it was banished, if it is any of these. If it was a zombie, you can have all monsters you control gain 3 into attack. If it is a fire tribute, you can destroy a spell drop card, and if it's synchro, you can destroy 1 monster on the field. So you can banish like Shogun if you want to, if he's in your graveyard, to make him go up to 24. Then you can destroy a spell / trap card or a monster. Next up is triple Samurai Saga. Same requirements as the first 2 synchros. He doesn't have a special summoning effect, but you can return 1 of your banished zombies to the deck to change the defense position all your opponent's monsters whose attack is equal to or less than that monster's. And if he's banished, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 500 attack. You can only special summon once per turn, but I do have a combo with him that can win the game in 1 turn. I'll show down in a separate video eventually. Next up, I run 1 Sword Saga. When he's special summoned, you can target 1 monster on the field, change its battle position, and if he's banished, you can special summon 1 token. It's zombie, fire, level 1, 0 attack and defense points. Not the best Shiranui synchro monster in the deck, but he can help with extending the plays with that token. To round off the deck, I'm running 1 Bales of the Diabolic Dragons. I have him because I do have a Dark Tuner monster, and he needs, and along with 1+ non-tuner monsters. I won the one Plague Spreader Zombie, who is a dog tuner monster. He can be destroyed by battle card effects, and if you take damage from an attack involving this card or from an opponent's card effect, he gains attack equal to the damage you took. He does have a combo with. He can kill you if your opponent has Red Axe Flare Master Dragon. But that's it for the deck. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.